So I'm here with my friend Eric Martz, who has a long career in business after a successful career in the military. And in his business career, he's focused a lot on helping business owners execute strategies. And one of the things that I asked him to talk with us about is one of the biggest issues that a lot of business owners face, and it's how do they think about exiting their business? What are some of the things that they're doing? And so I'm pleased that Eric has agreed to spend some time with us. Eric, one of the things you've written about is the Silver Tsunami, which is an interesting phrase that I'd like you to elaborate a little bit on and give a little bit of background about what's actually going on with business owners.
Well, I chose that title just because as guys our age, the baby boom generation have aged, we've created new markets for everything from baby food through small business ownership. Mm-hmm. And we're approaching a time when there's going to be a great transition of these businesses. Ned, there are an estimated 370,000 business owners who turn 65 every year. And it's estimated that 78% plan to sell their business in order to fund their retirement. Mm-hmm. But the reality is that only 20 to 30% of these folks actually sell that business. So there's a gigantic gap in there. And having spent a big part of my civilian career managing retirement assets, that concerns me because there are going to be a lot of folks that don't have the assets to retire as they'd hoped for. And at the same time, you got to think about who's going to buy these businesses. Mm-hmm. The Gen X and millennial crowd aren't going to be big enough to absorb the baby boom business owners that are trying to sell. Mm-hmm. And the estimates are that about 30 to 50,000 businesses will not have a buyer mm-hmm. on an annual basis. Mm-hmm. The baby boom generation has been talked about as having the pig and the python approach to all of the events of our lives. And this is one of the last ones in my opinion. The demographic events that I call the Silver Tsunami of baby boom business sales is upon us. And I use the Silver Tsunami. I'm not the guy that created that. I kind of latched onto it because it just made so much sense. But there's a presentation that I've prepared where I start out talking about the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami that swept away and killed mm-hmm. Estimated 230 to 260,000 people. But the economic reality of what we're faced with right now with the coronavirus is that these projections are going to be pushed farther and faster as the business owners discover their plight. Mm-hmm. And I've said many times that winter is coming for the baby boom business owners. Well, in the past 2 months, we've discovered winter is here.
Yeah, for sure. And the complicating factor of the pandemic only highlights the challenge that business owners are going to have as they think about these transitions. So go back, the statistic you gave is an interesting one. And I've seen other statistics like this. So roughly 80% of business owners think that selling their business is going to be a critical component of their retirement plans. And yet only about 20% actually do sell their businesses effectively. So why does that happen? Is it a lack of planning?
Well, I think that's a great question, and I'm big for quotations. I mm-hmm. post a daily quotation, and one of them that I like was Abraham Lincoln said, "You can't escape the responsibility of tomorrow by evading it today." And I think succession and exit planning is much like selling whole life insurance. I have great respect for insurance guys because that's a tough job to get people to accept and act on the fact that they're going to die at some point. And, I think that business owners don't plan for their exit for several reasons. First of all, they're working in their business and they don't take time to work on their business. In most cases, I think they enjoy their business and they just can't imagine doing anything else. And especially in the world of investment management, many are supporting a lifestyle business through generous cash flows thrown off by the business, and they just can't afford to stop. And then when you look at events since 2020, many of these business owners have been rebuilding the value of the business that was destroyed with the Great Recession. So planning is much more than just business valuation, hiring a broker to find a buyer, and then signing a document. You're preparing to cash out of the business, and it's like the single biggest financial event of your lifetime. And it's going to be especially difficult given the demographics and the economic impact of our current situation. And every exit plan begins with 3 critical points: where you are now, where you need to go, and then how much time you're willing to get there. And I've said to you in the past, procrastination and distraction are the authors of our ultimate failure in exit planning.
Yeah. So right now, again, this is a complicating factor, but a lot of business owners, particularly people whose businesses have been dramatically impacted by the coronavirus, have to not only think about how to get them back on a good footing, which may be in the next few months, but if they're thinking about ultimately selling their business, they have to look forward into an uncertain future. If there's one little bit of advice you would give, say, a banker right now when it comes to approaching these business owners, what one little bit of advice would you suggest? Now, I'm talking about a business banker who probably has an existing relationship with a small business owner. What would you tell that person to do?
Well, I think I would say play down the chessboard. That's what I've told my staff, both in the military and civilian life. Don't focus on your next move. Look 2 and 3 moves down the chessboard. And I think that folks in financial services have a tendency to focus on the next quarter. And what they need to do is to look down, for the next 2 or 3 years, and understand that their customers, their small business owners, have to do some different things in order to deliver success for all of their stakeholders. And when I talk about their stakeholders, I'm talking about themselves, the business owner, because their retirement assets are typically tied up in their invested capital. They need to be thinking about their family, their customers, their suppliers, their employees, who they've been protecting for these decades as small business owners, and then their communities. And that's a big part of community bankers' responsibility, is to look out for the future of the community. And I think that bankers play a critical role in the success or failure of their business owning customers. Bankers hold a special relationship with those business owners. And bankers, like accountants, hold critical information about the owners and their business. And then bankers will be responsible for, as I put it, punching holes in their own canoe if the customer's business ultimately fails. Roger Connors wrote in his book, Fix It, Getting Accountability Right, fixing accountability will be the low-hanging fruit for optimizing performance in business. Bankers are in the best position to hold business owners accountable for everybody's sake.
Yeah, I think that's really thoughtful advice. The idea of helping a business owner think ahead, look at the chessboard a little bit differently than what they're going to have to do tomorrow or next week or next month, but also helping them in a way begin to assess what the options that they have are. So I think that's great advice, Eric. Thank you very much for spending the time with us talking about that today.
You're welcome.